Welcome to episode 182, Broad Street House. I'm your host, Tommy Nanny, bringing you a fun, exciting show tonight. We're going to talk, recap the birds. We're going to preview the birds, and we're going to make some picks as we always do. Go around the room here. We got Jason Santa, as always.
Hey, Tom.
What's up, Jason? And we got Jimmy the Chalk back from a short hiatus.
Happy to be returning.
James,
First time you missed, really ever?
Second time since I became a regular co-host. First time was COVID, and this was for travel. So,
Got you.
So we held it down last week. We got to talk a little freely about the troubles of some of the players on the Eagles and certain people at positions. But probably do it again this week. But let's jump into it. We got tonight's episode is brought to you by Jimini's Pizza. You tried the rest, now try the best. All right, Eagles, Lions, Sunday Night Football. Final score is 16-9. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
I think I jotted that down.
Mhm.
I mean, kind of a rinse and repeat of Eagles Packers that we recapped the week prior. I felt weather played a factor. I mean, the wind seemed to really affect the ball. Goff was struggling with it. Receivers were struggling with it. The Eagle, Hurts struggled with it. Couple drop passes on both sides. Balls just like completely behind receivers. So it definitely played a pretty large factor in the game. But the story was the Eagles defense dominated. I mean, Carter, Davis up the middle dominated. Phillips continues to look good. Dan Campbell made some questionable fourth down decisions early in the game, and then, late in the game when it was probably the right decisions to go for it, he kind of looked bad because now he's gone for it 4 or 5 times. The fake punt, probably not a great idea on that one. And the Eagles won 69. Offense looked exactly the same. Not much of a passing game, not much of a running game. And everybody kind of complained all week about it. And, you're starting to hear a lot of scuttle around Hurts and all that stuff, and I'm sure we'll get into it. Jason, I'll let you go ahead and kind of give us a brief recap here and your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it was an ugly game. Like you mentioned, offensively, both teams struggled. I think I'm going to give Goff a little bit of a pass because the Eagles defense I thought was so good in the game. I thought the line play, like you mentioned, Carter and Davis just knocked down so many balls. I mean, that must have been part of the game plan, was to get your hands up on Goff's passes. Pass rush was ferocious. I mean, they were all over Goff in that game. The pass rush was ferocious. Dean, again, looked really good. Mitchell looked good. I do think, and I'm not making excuses for Goff because he was bad, but I think he missed Laporta. It seemed like, that's kind of his go-to guy, in pressure situations and all. He had nobody to go to. So I think that kind of hurt him a little bit there. And again, not to say he wasn't terrible in the game, but other side of the ball, I mean, it's the same story for me. They win games despite Hurts a lot of times. I don't know how anybody could watch that game and not think Hurts was just awful. Now, the wind probably bothered him as well. But, I mean, he was throwing balls that were nowhere near. I don't know. He's not my type of quarterback. That's all. I'm sure we'll get more into that. But I don't want to hear anything about the play calling. I just don't want to hear it. I mean, the play calling is because of his deficiencies. They have to run an offense like that because of him.
It's just you have to be very naive that Kellen Moore forgot how to completely call an offense when he came to the Philadelphia Eagles, because last year was the same thing, except they ran the ball. And when they got in trouble, they ran the ball well. They didn't pass. So Moore forgot how to call an offense. Steichen had to completely change the offense to a run-first offense. So I guess he forgot how to call plays. And now Patullo, who didn't do it before, also can't call. Like, how do all these guys come to our organization and completely change like the ability to call plays?
So you guys know I watch Greg Cosell every week, and he's just like, I've never seen him so like he doesn't know what to say. He basically said what you said, Tom. He was like, Sirianni has worked in offenses with he worked
Andrew
with
Luck.
Herbert and Luck, and he worked with all those guys. Patullo's been around offenses and knows schemes and everything else for years. He said this is like a high school like scheme that they run offensively. Why is that? All right. We could get more into that, but the offensive line, Lane Johnson's probably done for the year. I mean, at least the regular season. That's going to be an issue. Jurgens now has a concussion. It seems like I think he was limited today, so he probably will play, but he better play because they're in real trouble if he doesn't play. And then the last thing, I mean, listen. I don't think Detroit was going to go down the field and score anyway, but that pass interference call was just ridiculous to end the game. I mean, that call can't be made. But and again, I doubt Detroit goes down the field anyway. But it's just
That was
I'd be pissed off if I was them. But
no, but it's just like every game. Officiating was terrible throughout the game, and
yeah,
that one stood out.
that was just pathetic. Yeah.
The most. Chalky, thoughts on the game?
Well, I'll work backwards from what Jason just said. So, it was probably no call. Like I said, that last play, there was hand fighting. He grabbed his wrist, whatever. But they said at the start of the game that Yasin is a physical corner. Probably not different along the lines of Mitchell, so he's going to have his hands all over, and you're going to see what he can get away with. They didn't call anything the whole game. So the same problem I have with that call is the same problem I have with the Bradbury call of the Super Bowl. It's like, if you're going to call that the whole game, then call it the whole game. Don't wait until the most critical moment of the game to call that, because there are plays that were probably 3 times as bad that they let go the whole game. The first drive where he basically yanked Brown on, or not, I'm sorry, it was the second drive because they got a field goal after the turnover. He went to, Hurts goes to Brown on third down on a slant, and Yasin's pulling him, and Brown can only get one arm up, and there's no call there. That was more blatant than what happened at the end of the game, but, whatever. So the inconsistencies of the refs continues to be a story week in and week out. I looked at I watched the Greg Cosell video too, and, you said it, Jason. I mean, he's not saying he's kind of flabbergasted because he's not saying they're calling good plays, but he's saying that it seems like they feel like they have to call these plays. Now, whether that's the run not working as well or not, I mean, you can criticize me again, as you did last week, but if you look at the routes that Kellen Moore had A.J. Brown running last year versus what Patullo has him running, there's a big difference. Maybe that's because the run's not working, but there's very little creativity. But if that's what they feel like Hurts can do and only, then that's a huge problem because, it's going to be hard to keep winning like this, although the defense playing at this level is going to be as good as any defense in the league. So, they kept Green Bay off the scoreboard for the most part. Same with the Lions. They're going to have 2 more offenses that are, top level the rest of the regular season in Dallas this week and Buffalo in week 17, assuming that guys aren't sitting yet, or 16, whatever week it is. So those are going to be 2 challenges. But they've really obviously stepped it up. Last week, Tom, I think you said Dean might have had his best game against Green Bay. I think the Detroit game might have been even better than that because he was making plays all over the field. Yeah, and just the other thing I'll say about Goff, I was able to sit in on a Howie Roseman lecture right after that draft where Goff went 1 and Wentz went 2, and the question was, well, would you have taken Goff at 2? And he said, well, we liked Goff, but we didn't trade up to 2 until L.A. made that trade, and we knew they were taking Goff. We wanted Wentz, and the thing he said is that If you look at measurables, Goff's hands are undersized, and he said you don't want that kind of player playing multiple games in a season in cold weather, windy weather, the kind of stuff that we're going to see if we get into the playoffs and late in the season. So, whether it's the Eagles defense, whether it's the weather, whatever. I mean, Goff had a historically bad game because he was like 30% or whatever it was after having like 70%, 75% for the whole season, and the last thing is, the Eagles and Detroit have been considered like, top lines for the most last couple of years. The Eagles line has obviously struggled this year. Jurgens was a step slow that game before he got hurt. But I don't want to hear that Penei Sewell is the greatest thing since sliced bread, because the Eagles took apart that line and they didn't come to play. And that's why Goff had so much trouble, because he was getting hit all the time. But look, you got to win these games. They slugged it out. They beat them on the next week.
Yeah. I mean, not much to add. I just don't know how long the Eagles can survive playing. I mean, now things are coming out. Obviously, it happened last year as well, and they nipped it in the bud. But that was more just around A.J. Brown and Hurts and all that. Now you're starting to get all these anonymous sources say it. I mean, Derek Gunn said it wasn't a player, it was a coach. Basically said they practice one way, and then when the game happens, Hurts does whatever he feels like doing when the play's called. The ball doesn't go to where it's supposed to go. He holds the ball. He does his own thing. So, I mean, and you could read into it with Sirianni doing the YYY at the end of the other game on the 4th and 6 play. I mean, there's a lot of things that point towards, like Hurts doesn't carry out the play how the play was designed to be carried out. I mean, it is what it is. And, you could argue he does things to win the game. He plays conservative. I think since week 5 of last year, he has the Eagles have the lowest amount of turnovers in the history of football or something insane, which is awesome. And they win a lot of games, but eventually people get pissed off. And the Devontae Smiths, those types of positions, the A.J. Browns, they don't give a shit about winning. I don't care what anybody. They want their money that they're going to get when their contract's up, and they only get that by putting up numbers. So last year they won a Super Bowl, that's great. This year they want numbers, and they're not getting numbers. Now Smith has gotten them early on, and Goddard, but Browns. But eventually all these players are going to start to get annoyed with, and the Hurts thing is going to turn into a problem.
And I also think the bandwidth of being able to do what Hurts is doing to win these games is getting smaller, because that bandwidth was the offensive line is so good that we could just run the ball. And, he doesn't have to throw in the windows. He could throw when somebody's waving their arms and is wide open. Well, as the run game is not really there anymore because the offensive line is not there, and Barkley might have lost a step, probably combination of both. Now he's going to have to start throwing in the windows to win games and stuff. And he ain't going to throw
it. Happened in 23. The wheels fell out because the defense wasn't that strong, and the offense was playing how they're playing this year. Now, the defense has been incredible, and it's allowing them to score.
It won the last 2 games.
Yeah. I mean, he scored.
Well, I mean, the difference 23-2 is the offense was still scoring points, but it was either points or turning the ball over, and the defense couldn't. They had to win shootouts, right? They had a 20-something point game against Seahawks, lost. The Cardinals game was like a 30-something point game, lost. They're not going to be able to. They're not going to win a 30-27 game right now. They need the defense to keep it to 20 or less if they want to have a shot.
And the reason that they were turning the ball over is because the defense was so bad. They had to open up the offense a little bit, and he had to start trying to throw which he can't do.
And there was the call. You mentioned the Green Bay game, but I think it was the game-ending interception in the Seattle game was Hurts Brown saying, "Oh, let's go do this," against whatever the play call was, and that turned into an interception. So, I mean, the idea that making calls or going against the play call It's not a new thing, and it obviously has been problematic in the past when you make a call like that and it ends up being, a stupid interception to end the game. So,
Now, did you guys hear? I think it was Kelsey that came out. It might have been today or yesterday, and said about the Lane Johnson thing with Hurts. Did you guys hear anything about this?
he said,
I have not.
he said it was him and Johnson, Kelsey and Johnson.
Kelsey and Johnson
You're talking about the problem Johnson had?
with Hurts.
No, it was with Kelsey.
Oh, maybe I misheard that because I thought the thing was that Johnson and Hurts had a disagreement, and then Hurts was such a, I'm not going to say the word about it, that he refused to talk to Lane Johnson for the whole summer. That's what I thought.
I'm gonna look it up now. My reading of it was that Brown and whatever's going on with Brown and Hurts, it happens because there was a time when Kelsey and Johnson didn't talk for a whole summer because they were mad at each other. I'm going to verify that. I took it as Kelsey speaking of himself, not as Hurts, but
Yeah, I know. I mean, I could tell you, I heard, I got somebody I know a little bit that could be around the team, and must have been 23, the year he wasn't running much, and his knee. Remember, he came out with knee problem.
Yeah,
and it was like there was talk around him telling the team, "My knee hurt, my knee is," and the team saying, "There ain't nothing wrong. Like, we did tests, nothing's wrong with your knee," and him giving him pushback and problems about, meaning like just very, like, you could talk about he has that Jordan mentality. He sounds like he's difficult.
I don't think he's liked. I don't think a lot of people like him.
You could say what you want, but the reason why he's still the quarterback, he's not benched, is because they win at a rate that is ungodly, that is unexplainable.
He's not going to get benched.
When if they were losing, he would be on the bench, right?
Well, yeah, he's not carrying the victory, but he's not causing them to lose. If he was throwing 4 interceptions and they were losing, then yeah, he's going to get the heat. But they'll take making a mistake.
Nothing all game, and then he runs the ball for first, and then that's it. It's just enough because of the way the rest of the team played. I mean,
I think it's definitely split in the locker room. He's very much like he's got the whatever mindset, and he's not super warm and friendly with a lot of the guys on the sidelines and everything. And I think people respect that, and some people don't. I think maybe that's part of why him and AJ Brown aren't as close teamwork, because they were like best friends and now they're teammates, and that's a different dynamic. Like, you don't always want to work with your friend, that kind of thing. So I think some people probably he does rub the wrong way for sure in the locker room. But so here's just the wrap the Kelsey thing up. So this is a quote. "I'll put this out there," said Kelsey, explaining that his brief spat with Lane Johnson, 35, began when his former teammate made a comment in the media about the team's offense that Kelsey disagreed with. "I remember reading that, and I went out in the media and said, 'What does Lane know?' Lane and I didn't talk for an entire offseason. Lane is like one of my best friends. I love this guy, and I love being part of his team. There are just so many ups and downs." So it was Kelsey. But, I mean, the point is that guys that are close, like that, this kind of stuff happens, and you work through it, I guess. But hopefully you work through it. It doesn't always happen that way. Like, McNabb and T.O., but.
To me, personally, I think Brown is just mad he's not getting the ball. I don't think it's a spat between. I think, if it was me not throwing them, he'd be mad at me. I don't think it's a spat between them that's causing Hurts not to throw him the ball. I think Hurts is just inept as a quarterback in the league, and he's not getting him the ball. He's not getting Goddard the ball when Goddard should be getting the ball. He's throwing it late. He's throwing it behind him. I don't think it's a spat. I think it's just
nobody cares. They just want production. If they're getting the ball, that's all. That's what it comes.
Yeah, I don't think it's like they don't like each other. I think it's
my other thing though. I mean, where I'll defend Hurts, well, not necessarily defend Hurts, but like AJ Brown looks a step slow to me. He's not, whether it's an effort thing, he's not getting separation. His effort on that one long pass, so. I think some of it's AJ Brown too. It's not just Hurts not getting the ball. And I got news for you. Saquon Barkley is not the Saquon Barkley from last year. I know the offensive line ain't doing well.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both.
There was a play, which is the second to last drive, where they picked off 4 yards. He had a chance to break away from a defensive lineman, and he couldn't, and the guy tackled him. Last year, he would have been around the edge and got that first down.
Yeah, well,
So-
one thing I read to mention watching the Cosell that he pointed out is that, and I don't know if it was an issue last year because the holes might have been bigger, but Barkley's vision is just not great. Like
He's not hitting holes.
he's
not-
running up in the back sides of players when it's like you could just go this way and you get a couple
Yeah.
yards and whatever. The other thing I'll say about Brown, when you're talking about he looks a step slow, for whatever reason the play calling is being called the way it is, if there's a predictability there, then you have a step, you know, the defender knows what's coming. That gives them an advantage too. Chad Johnson, again, take it for what it's worth, said, I can look at how he's standing there and I can call what route he's going to go, and I'm not watching tape. So if the play call is what it is and somebody knows what's coming, you can be a little better prepared for it. I mean, go back to those Campbell fourth down calls. The Eagles were on every one of them. So that predictability, I mean, you know, they kept the defense on that punt, and they still tried to fake punt, which is just brazen. But I mean, you know, if you know what's coming, it's easier to try and stop it. And, you know, if you can't work your way through it, it's what happens.
Just go back in your mind and think of 95% of completions Hurts makes. It's either the bomb downfield, which that doesn't impress me, or it's a guy standing that's wide open with you know, facing Hurts. It's never a slant. It's never.
It's not a lot. I mean, you know, again, watching the Cassell, he hit that slant to Brown down at the goal line when they ended up scoring, which was a nice throw. That was a one read. It's like you're going to Brown, but nice throw, put it where it had to be. And the play to Dotson. Those are like the two great throws. And he made a nice throw to Bark. He made a couple nice throws on the first drive. The guys just dropped. But then he missed Barkley wide open for a touchdown in what, the third quarter was it, or fourth quarter? So
with the way he throws the football, he makes throws when he does it. His problem is field vision, pre-snap, and throwing the ball to tight windows. It's that his anticipation throws are. He has no anticipation. I mean,
and here's
that's
the crazy
what he can't do.
Like, you hear everything about like the zone gives him problems and all. Well, they didn't play any zone on Sunday night. They played man, and he had those issues. So it's not only zone anymore. Now I think the wind affected both.
I mean, Campbell doesn't go for fourth down on some of those if the wind's not a thing. He's kicking field goals or making attempts at least.
Yeah.
But last thing I'll say, I think Cassell has a video on AJ Brown versus zone and why he's struggling. So I'm interested to see if that speaks to anything like Tommy's point to, where like he's not as quick or he's not being given routes that can beat his zone. But obviously,
I think he's frustrated, and I think, you know, I'm not making excuses for him, but I think he's probably running routes half-heartedly because he's not going to get the ball.
That's a problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, earlier in the season, he gave up on a pass, the deep pass. Yeah. I mean, there's
the Denver game, they win that game. He doesn't give up, and I didn't bang him. I didn't think he gave up so much on the one ball people are giving him crap for this week. But you know,
even that 4th and 6 ball, the bad pass was bad, but his effort to go up and get it, like you could draw pass interference. You know, there's things that
that was more of a pass interference than the call against Yassin in this game.
All right, so it brings us to the Eagles Dallas this Sunday 4:30 game. I think Eagles are a 3-point favorite, -120, 47.5. I think when I checked before we got on, Dallas coming off a Monday night victory over the Raiders. Jason, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, Dallas is coming off a big win. You know, a lot of it's emotional, I'm sure. But you know, I will say, and the Raiders are just a pathetic team, just so bad. But I will say, you know, the trades that Dallas made, they shouldn't have made, because they had absolutely zero chance to do anything this year. But it did make them better defensively. You know, getting the guy from the Jets and all. So I don't think they're a terrible team. You know, I think their offense is very good. And like I said, maybe the trade helped the defense a little bit. I just can't, you know, Tom, you mentioned it about, you know, how much are they going to continue to win the Eagles playing as bad as they're playing, at least on one side of the ball. I think maybe this is the game that they don't win. I think Dallas wins this game. I'm going to say 23-20. Like I said, I think Dallas played them pretty well in the first game of the year. So I think Dallas is very good. Like I said, on one side of the ball. If they shored up their defense a little bit, they could be an okay team. So I think they're going to win. Think the Eagles are going to lose this game. I think Dallas wins 23-20.
Yeah, the Dallas definitely coming off a emotional win Monday night, a little bit of a short rest game. I mean, Dallas is a team like they're not good, but they could play any team in the league, and you're not saying they can't win the game. Like the Jets play teams they can't win. The Browns, those teams. Like Dallas could beat any team in the league. They're not great, but at any day they could beat any team in the league. They have a good offense, obviously, 2 good receivers, good tight end. Defense is much improved. I think over that other kid's back too, coming off injury. Overshown, I think is the name.
Linebacker,
Yeah, so he's a good player. The guys they got from Green Bay, the guy they got from the Jets. So defense is much improved. And I don't know, like last week, the Eagles could say what they want. They looked like they were forcing the ball to A.J. Brown, right? They were trying to get him passes. I kind of alluded to it that I thought they should try a little bit. They did a couple of those screens, but then
they did the bubble screen that you wanted.
Didn't work either. It didn't work. So yeah, to me, so I think going into this week, like there's a lot of chatter about Hurts isn't looking to unleash the ball. So I could see a little more like riskier plays, maybe a turnover by Hurts, interception. I know you're at a part of the season that the Eagles could take where they're at and go. Last year they kind of excelled when there was a little bit of adversity. 23 they kind of dropped off. So you could take it and see where it goes, but they can only get away with this for so long. Defense is coming off of 2 incredible games. The Eagles are coming off 2 wins against top tier teams that they wanted for the 1 seed. I could see a little bit of a letdown. I still don't think the Eagles, that offense is going to get it together. So I actually have Dallas winning this game as well. I got Dallas 27, Eagles 20. So 27-20. I don't know. I think it's going to be. I think you're going to see a couple turnovers from the Eagles, and that's going to be the difference. Because the way their offense is playing, they can't turn the ball over and win games, unless the defense had, obviously more defense touchdown or something goofy. So I got Dallas in this one, 27-20. Chalky.
I am also 27-20, but I'm on the Eagles. The first game of the year, there was no defense through like the first 2.5 quarters till the Thunder break or whatever it was. But this defense is playing at a high level. Jalen Carter will be in this game. And the Dallas offensive line, their tackle's coming back, but they don't overly impress me. So Dak has a tendency to turn the ball over, whether it's in the pocket or throwing the ball. So I think they'll get a couple turnovers. The offense will probably still struggle some, so it might be more of a couple touchdowns generated by short fields on behalf of the defense. But I think they win 27-20.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else you want to touch on before we advance over to making picks? I mean, we covered the kind of the talk around the Eagles, covered all the hurt stuff. All right, let's go, Jason. You're up.
All right, we'll do some quick stats. Not much noise again on the over-unders in the league. It was 7 overs, 8 unders, so still slightly over for the year, 85 overs, 79 unders. The public continues to struggle. They were 5-9. They did have a push last week, so 5-9-1. They're now 71, 92-1 on the year. Tom, our luck with picking the same game has hit a roadblock big time this year. We're now 29-20 overall, still 59%, still good. Not as good as we used to be, but our best bet is still on the same side, 12-6. When we do our podcast stats, another bad week. We're 4-5. Chalky, you had another good week though. You're 2-1 again. You were 2-1 2 weeks in a row. Tom, you and I 1-2. I think we've had the same record like pretty much the whole
Yeah,
year.
I'm on a little bit of a 1-2 streak now. Both of us for a little bit.
Yeah, we were 1-2 4 out of the last 5 weeks, you and I. So not good. So we will start with Chalky. Chalky, like I said, you went 2-1. Your best bet though, Chalky, you're now in Meeker territory with best bets. Rams. Now, we all had the Rams. I don't know. Like I did not like McVay's coaching, play calling, whatever you want to call it in that game. On short yardage, he was bad. He was bad on short yardage.
Honestly, they were up 14-3, and I kind of stopped following it until it was like 21-12, and Seattle was driving for that touchdown. So, I mean, you get 4 picks off the Darnold, and you only scored 21 points.
I was
That's
gonna
a
say,
problem.
I would like. I mean, honestly, they had 4 picks and barely even if they covered, barely would have covered. Like
I was rooting so hard for Seattle to hit that field goal at the end of the game. I wanted them to lose so bad because I was so mad that they weren't going to cover.
I was rooting for a block back for a touchdown, so we could all
Yeah,
win.
well,
But,
we don't get that in our
no,
favor.
of course not.
Only against us. So, that was your only loss, though. You did win with the Steelers. That was a good pick, and the Bills was also a good pick. So you went 2-1. Tom, again, you and I both went 1-2. But you're on fire with your best bets. You're doing well with them. You had the Cowboys. Easily won that game.
That was one of the public games because I was going to go with that too, and I saw the number and I said,
yeah, it turned into a big public game.
Yeah.
The Vikings, I mean, that guy cannot play the position of quarterback. I don't know if it's just he's a rookie, but I don't see signs of him being able to play. I don't know. He was so bad in that game, McCarthy.
well, it makes you wonder now. Remember when he was kind of healthy and they were still going with Wentz?
Yeah.
They're in big trouble. And then the Rams, you had the Rams as well. I went 1-2. The Vikings, my best bet. Awful. It's the second week in a row that they cost me. Won't happen again. I had the Rams, but then I did win with the Eagles. So I went 1-2. The Rally Monkey went 2-1, and he actually hit his best bet. He had the Seahawks. He had the Broncos, so he won that, but then he lost with the Bengals. So on the year, Tommy and I are still both same record, 18-15. I have a profit of $170. Tommy has a profit of $147. We're both 55% win. I'm 5% ROI. Tommy's 4% ROI. Chalky, you're 17-16 now, so you're above 500. You still are at a loss though, only $52 minus $52, 52% win, 2% minus 2% ROI. Rally Monkey's 13-20. He's just pretty bad. Jimmy D's 2-1. On the year without the Rally Monkey, we're 55-47. Profit of $381, 54%, 3.4% ROI. Tom, your best bets, like I said, really good this year. 8-3, profit of $441, 73% win, 40% ROI. I'm 6-5, barely with a profit of $58, 55% win, 5% ROI. Chalky, 3-8, not good. Loss of $519, 27% win, minus 47% ROI. Jimmy D's 1-0. For the year, we're 18-16, $71 profit, 55% win, 2% ROI. Lifetime, Tommy's now 35-25, 58% wins for best bets. I'm 35-27, 56% win. Chalky, you are now tied with Meeker. You're 29-35, 45% best bets. Meeker's 23-28, 45% best bets. We are still profitable though. We're 99-87 without Meeker, which I believe is 53% win. Overall, I'm 108 and 83, profit of $1,524, 57% win, 8% ROI. Tom, you are now 92 and 89, loss of $311, 51% win, minus 2% ROI. Chalky's 97 and 95, loss of $608, 51%, minus 3% ROI. Beaker, 72 and 81, loss of $1,598, 47% win, minus 10% ROI. And as a podcast, we have a I botched the win loss, but we have a 605% profit, 1.1% ROI.
Okay, well, let's try to. We haven't had a good podcast week for
A long time.
for a little bit now. So, game's tough. I thought this week was tough as well. So Chalky, you were not here last week. So I would be remiss if I didn't have you speak right away. I feel like you'd be doing a disservice to our fans by them not hearing you last week. So I will let you take the floor.
So your best bet against this week, I guess if you want to call it that, is going to be the Saints minus 2.5, minus 105 against the Falcons. Because I don't care. Kirk Cousins used to be a good NFL quarterback, and the Saints shouldn't be favored against anybody, so they are.
Don't tell me you have them.
Certainly seems that way. Second pick is another team that shouldn't be favored against anybody. That's the Raiders minus 3.5, minus 112 against Cleveland. And my third pick is going to be the Rams minus 6.5 against Tampa. That's minus 115. And the rally monkey this week, best bets are going to be, did not take the Thursday night game, surprisingly. But we got Baltimore minus 13.5, I believe it is. Is that minus 110? I can't trust the juice that he gives us, but Baltimore is, it's 108. So minus 13.5, minus 108. Packers minus, well, hold on now. He's got Packers minus 1.5 against San Francisco. That is not the game this week, as they are playing the Vikings. So we're going to go Detroit minus 10.5 against the Giants. That's minus 110. And then we're going to go Arizona, getting 3 as it is right now against the Jaguars. That is Arizona plus 3, minus 118.
Okay. I'll go. My best bet is unfortunately the Saints as well. What I had 2.5, 105. I don't even remember what you
That's
said.
what I had. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
That if you guys hadn't thrown a fit, once you gave my pick, yes, you would have heard me say that, didn't you? It was 2.5, 105.
Nice. So it's the same. I just checked. I mean, my second pick is Kansas City minus 3.5, minus 105 against Indianapolis. I know. I think I took this route with Kansas City in the past, and it did not work. But again, they're like, that's kind of an odd line.
Yeah.
Even if it was 3, 2.5, 3, like 3.
Well, it opened at 3 and it went up.
Yeah, and the money. I mean, right now in Vegas,
Money's going the other way.
right? So something's up there.
They're finally no longer the Super Bowl favorite. So I
mean,
made an
right,
adjustment on that, but
they are kind of a must-win. I mean, they're starting to get into these
Big
must-win
time
games.
must win. Like
So-
this
Oh,
is
yeah.
a yeah.
So
they're in third place in the division.
and my last pick, I struggled. I really did struggle to the point where I had to go to a total, and I don't usually take the totals. And I always like the totals where the line is so low that it's almost comical. And that was Cleveland Vegas unders 35.5. Like 35.5 is like one of the. I haven't seen a non-weather game at 35.5.
I think that's the lowest I've ever seen of a game in a dome.
Yeah, that's so.
Shador Sanders not getting a lot of respect.
To me,
No.
that's them telling the line really should be about 18, and they can't. Obviously, they
Yeah.
can't do it. So that was, and it was minus 102 is what I had when I
Yes.
wrote it down.
I mean, the only issue you have there is if he starts turning the
Picks,
ball
yeah, of
over
course.
and you
But then
get
Vegas, unless
home
they get a
field.
pick six, they ain't scoring even when they probably.
That's a bad team, man. They are bad. All right, Tom, we're gonna have two of the same picks again this week. My best bet is the Saints -2.5, -105. Um, you know, when I heard Cousins was playing, he can't play anymore. But then when I heard Drake London was out, that's really the reason we got knocked out of Survivor, because Drake London is a hell of a. He's probably a top 5 receiver at this point. Like that kid is really good. And if he's not going to have London to throw the ball to, I good luck. And the Saints are coming off a bye. That quarterback didn't play bad, so I don't know. Maybe Kellen Moore's got something up his sleeve off a bye. So I like the Saints there. My second pick is the Cardinals +3 -118. Um, I think Jacksonville is a fraud. I think they did beat the hell out of the Chargers. I think that's an anomaly. I think the Cardinals got embarrassed by the 49ers. I think they're hopefully going to show some fight this week and maybe not, lose back-to-back home games. So I actually think they might win the game outright, but I'm going to take the points 3 -118.
That was crazy that Brissett set a record for completions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the 49ers defense, the offense is fine, but their defense is without Bosa and Warren, they just have no chance.
Yeah.
And then I have the Chiefs -3.5, -105. I just think, the Colts were showing some warts before they went on a bye. Jones is starting to turn back into Jones. The offensive line didn't look as strong. And the Chiefs just have to win this game. I mean, their season's over if they don't win this game. So they could win by 3 and we could lose. But I'll say they cover.
Yeah, and Spags against that Daniel Jones, it just seems like he should be able to eat him up there.
I mean, they just have to win. They have to win the game.
All right. That should wrap it up for the week. Next week will be looks like a Wednesday show. The Eagles do play Black Friday at 3. Thursday is obviously Thanksgiving. So we'll get in a preview. We'll still be able to get in a preview for the Eagles for that Friday game against the Bears. Episode 182. Bro, shoot hustle. Have a great night.